Hi everyone. Today we will learn about the analyzing perspective strategy. This strategy will help us examine history through multiple perspectives and will increase our ability to analyze and think critically. Looking at events and problems from different angles or perspectives engages us deeply as it provides us with a skill that is essential in a democratic society as diverse and complex as our own. This strategy will be recorded in two parts. In this video, I will show you how to set up your graphic organizer and apply the analyzing perspective strategy. For the purpose of this video, I will use an excerpt from Unit 1, Day 11, Interactions between Native Americans and European Settlers, but the strategies can be used for lots of different sources in social studies. In the second video of the series, I will demonstrate how to use the strategy. As we learn about the interactions between Native Americans and European settlers, it is important we acknowledge the difficulty of teaching and learning about the mistreatment of Native Americans through history. It is an awful reality of the history of our nation. When we are learning about indigenous populations in history, it is also important that we understand that while the tremendous outbreak of European diseases, as well as forced overwork and violence from the Europeans, led to the decimation of the population of groups of indigenous peoples in the Americas. Over time, these populations grew, and today there are millions of indigenous people living in the United States. It is important to go over some definitions. Our perspective is the way that we see something. The previous slide asks us to think about, have you ever been in a disagreement where someone didn't understand your point of view? Why do you think that you didn't both see things the same way? In an example like the one you wrote about in the last slide, it's likely that you and the person you disagreed with had different experiences and led to you having different points of view or perspectives on the same situation. When looking at historical documents and events, it's important that we consider whose perspective is represented and whose perspective may be missing. In order to get a complete version of history, we need to analyze multiple perspectives. Therefore, the analyzing perspective strategy helps me think about the author's perspective when I'm highlighting or annotating a text. Like I said earlier, we're using a lesson from Unit 1, Day 11, Interactions between Native Americans and European Settlers, but you can use this strategy for any text that you are reading. This strategy will help you think about the text in a new way and allow you to come up with new and deeper thinking about the reading. This simple organizer will help you prepare to share with teachers and classmates. The setup is simple. I want you to set up your notebook to look like the following in your physical or digital notebook. On the left-hand side of the page, we will write author says, and in parentheses, quotation. Here is where we will write down the title and author of the excerpt we are reading, as well as a quotation we are choosing to interpret. Next, in the middle column, write author means and in parentheses, interpretation. Here is where you will interpret the quote that you copied down in your graphic organizer. Finally, label the right-hand column, what do these quotations reveal about the author's perspective? And in parentheses, you can put elaboration. Here's where you will elaborate and provide further inner thinking and analysis. Now that we have our notebook set up, we are going to select our text. I've chosen an excerpt from the Diary of Christopher Columbus. As you can see here, I've written down the author's name in my graphic organizer. Now I will take the time to read the excerpt. Because we are practicing close reading, it may be beneficial to read the excerpt a few times. We want to gather the gist and tone of the text. Remember to be an active reader and think about the author's claim and evidence to support their claim. We can also start to think about a quote that we want to write in our graphic organizer. So just a reminder, we are reading from the perspective of Christopher Columbus from the Diary of Christopher Columbus from 1492. As I saw that they were very friendly to us and perceived that they could be much more easily converted to our holy faith by gentle means than by force, I presented them with some red caps and strings of beads to wear upon the neck, and many other trifles of small value, wherewith they were much delighted, and became wonderfully attached to us. Afterwards, they came swimming to the boats, bringing parrots, balls of cotton thread, javelins, and many other things which they exchanged for articles we gave them, such as glass beads and hawk's bells, which trade was carried on with the utmost goodwill. But they seemed on the whole to me to be a very poor people. Weapons they have none, nor are acquainted with them, for I showed them swords which they grasped by the blades and cut themselves through ignorance. I'm going to pause here because I found a quote that I want to copy down on my graphic organizer. Make sure to watch the second video in this series as I show you how to copy down a quote and fill out the rest of the graphic organizer.